340-pound woman locked up for sitting on and killing a foster son. Now, would it be worse if it was her own son, or is it worse that it's a foster son? It's a real question, chat. Or is it just bad that she's 340 pounds? And it's dangerous. See? Being fat isn't just dangerous to yourself, it's dangerous to people around you.
Typical 10-year-old boy. His loved ones say he marched to the beat of his own drum, he had a creative imagination, loved board games, and to sing and dance.
So he
all of that,
he was just a
growing
kid.
up in a loving home, it should have been the perfect recipe for most 10-year-olds.
Let's not talk about recipes here.
He could have had all of that, but he didn't. Why? Because his foster mother never gave him a chance.
I'm Elizabeth Milner for Law and Crime. Mechanical asphyxia, not really a term we see
Best
often.
punishment, put her in prison and feed her 15 almonds. But let every other prisoner eat nice meals right in front of her. That's crazy. It's not a punishment, that's helping her.
Physical force stops you from breathing. But what if I tell you, in this case, the physical force or object was Dakota's foster mom?
Just feed her lard.
She killed him by laying on him to the point he couldn't breathe. But was her punishment enough? Well, according to reports, it was enough that the law allowed.
Last April, 10-year-old Dakota was in a new foster home. According to a report by the Indy Star, his parents lost custody of him and his younger sister in 2018. So that was back when Dakota was around 5 or 6, and he was bounced to different homes ever since. Then he landed in the care of Jennifer Wilson. Dakota wasn't in Jennifer's home
I know
that
what you
long,
just said that.
just about a month.
Put her in the water in Japan and let the boats harpoon her. Fair enough.
However, during that adjustment period, on April 25th, paramedics were called
But she might
to
cause a
Jennifer's
tsunami.
home. They rushed him to the hospital, but sadly he died.
They've had enough of
in a
this.
terrifying way. So what happened? Well,
They were going to a bathtub and the water rises. Well, it's going to do that, but like 100 feet.
on April 25th, Dakota ran over to a neighbor's home. He asked that neighbor a simple yet tough question to answer. Will you adopt me? According to police, he asked his neighbor this because he said he was being hit in the face, and his foster parents wouldn't let him call his case manager. Dakota's foster mom, Jennifer, found him at the neighbor's home. But when the neighbor told Jennifer Dakota wanted her to call the police, Jennifer told her to mind her own business. Jennifer then was able to get Dakota back in the car and drive home. But it's what happened when they returned home that would have devastating consequences. When they returned home, Dakota initially refused to get out of the car. He got out of the car eventually. Likely still being upset, he
Shit that
screamed
has to do
he was
with kids pisses you off? Yeah, no, I'd say the same thing for me.
gonna leave again. So what does Jennifer do to prevent him from leaving? Well, she sat on him.
Fat ass bitch. Hope she falls down some stairs, breaks her limbs, and starves to death. Well, she's got to be able to get up the stairs to fall down it. That's not happening.
According to police, Jennifer didn't remember if she tackled Dakota or they just fell to the ground.
Silly.
But when police looked over at the Ring camera footage, according to them, it showed Jennifer laying on Dakota's midsection. Now remember, he's just 10 years old, 4 feet 10
years
inches,
old, that's
a
so
child.
sad.
So the midsection where she was laying on was near his head and neck, all while
about me
Dakota
12
was
years ago.
screaming. Dakota tried so hard to fight Jennifer off, he was fighting and flailing to get free. Then he went motionless. When he stopped moving, Jennifer thought he was faking it. His eyelids by this point, though, were already pale. She claimed she only laid on him for 5 minutes, but police say
She claims she only laid at him for 5 minutes. 30 seconds with you is fucking crazy. You're acting... Wait, what? You're acting like that's not gonna kill someone. How long can you hold your breath for, you dumb bitch? Stupid. 5 minutes would kill you. If you held someone's nose for 5 minutes, they'd die. You just admitted to killing the kid. On purpose. It was just 5 minutes. It's like an officer going, "Did you shoot this person 10 times? No, officer, I only shot him 4 times. You idiot. You actual buffoon. Once again, I've said this before, so if you're watching this on my channel, we've covered a lot of fat stuff. I didn't put the sandwich in your mouth. They got that way, alright? So, if I'm going to shame you for doing this and hurting kids, I'm going to do it. Okay? It's not a fucking disease. You can name it obesity and call that a disease, go for it. It's not. It's not. It's really not. It's called an excuse. And there's a lot of excuses out there. It's true. If you're going to be fat, be fat. Right? Go ahead. Don't complain about it. And don't fucking hurt kids.
2 clips from the Ring camera video that
Send
ran
him
about
to the
7
room.
minutes showed her sitting
Take
on
his
Dakota
technology
while he
away.
wasn't moving. Another video showed Dakota still screaming,
How even a
Jennifer
spank
on
in the
top
ass.
of him, but her right arm and elbow are
punishment.
planted to the ground. Another video showed Jennifer on top of Dakota near his buttocks, while his arms were above his head, and he wasn't moving. One video showed Jennifer on her knee facing Dakota, who was already face down. It was only when he lost consciousness that Jennifer finally got off of him. She attempted to give him CPR and asked one of the other children inside the home to call 911.
Look, in the chat, if anybody's fat and saying they're, oh, you're shameful. No. If you're not complaining, I don't care. That's it. And if you are self-aware enough to know that, yeah, it's unhealthy, good on you. If you're happy with who you are, good on you. But if you're going to lie to me and be like, it's a good thing, don't do that. That's not how that works. It's that simple. I'm very fair. Very, 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 very fair. I've always been fair, and I'm being fair now. So, that's it.
Police say Jennifer looked visibly distraught when they arrived. By this time, Dakota wasn't breathing.
Look at that
He
food.
had no pulse and later had to be airlifted to a hospital. But he was taken off life support 2 days later.
Poor
Doctors
kid.
say his brain was swollen and it was consistent with oxygen deprivation. The coroner's office
he
ruled
lost
Dakota's
oxygen.
death a homicide, and the cause was mechanical
That's Chicago. That's the bean, right? Is that the bean in Chicago? I hear a lot about the bean. I think that's it, right?
asphyxia. Dakota died in April of last year, but Jennifer wasn't arrested until July. She was found in a completely different state after a warrant was issued and a license plate reader detected her car. She was charged with reckless homicide, but ended up pleading guilty to that charge. Under Indiana law, that charge carried a max sentence of just 6 years in prison. So that's what she'll...
What? A max sentence of 6 years in prison for murdering a child?
Ultimately got. Earlier this year, she was sentenced to 6 years in prison with 1 year suspended to be served on probation. For
What? Pedophilia is 5 to 20 years. America's weird. The law here is weird. I actually did not expect that. Like, I know law and shit, and that's a rare state situation, by the way. It's not like that everywhere else here. 6 years in prison for killing a child. And admitting to it. And pleading guilty to it. Let that sink in like the shit that she stands on.
Dakota, though, his loved ones will always remember him. According to his obituary, his smile could light up any room he walked into. And he truly had a huge heart. He loved the outdoors. He was a
also
great
had a
big
huge
brother to his
stepmother.
little sister. And his favorite teacher was a huge inspiration for him. But while sharing the great things about Dakota, one part of his obituary stands out. And it's that for those who truly loved the 10-year-old, their hearts will forever be broken.
6 years in prison with 1 year suspended. Let's break this down with criminal.
I agree. Real friends don't enable unhealthy habits. But like, bullying is another thing. Like, bullying for no reason is bad. You know? But like, if you're joking around and laughing about it, and like, you're reading a room right, that's another thing. That's fine. But like, if you're genuinely trying to like help someone, yeah, do it. It's not healthy.
Defense attorney Serena Townsend. Serena, thank
I'm
you
glad
so
you're
much for
doing
joining
good
me
now.
today. In your opinion, was 6 years enough? It's been reported that the max time the statute allowed
Absolutely
for
not.
reckless homicide in Indiana was 6 years, but do you think that was enough time given everything that had happened?
You know, I'm surprised that the maximum amount of time is only 6 years on a charge like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she got the maximum because it seems like the judge's hands were basically tied to that maximum. He couldn't really do much more than that. And it seemed he even
Change the
tried
law.
to add to it by adding that probationary sentence
Who's
of
their
a
governor?
year after she's done with the 6 incarceration. So it feels like the judge did everything that he could to make it an appropriate sentence, but it does feel very low. I mean, this child's life was extinguished by this woman. So 6 years is a slap on the wrist when you think about that.
I want to give a huge thank you to Odoo for sponsoring us. Odoo is an incredible...
Wow, 6 years, ridiculous.
that this actually warranted a murder charge, possibly second-degree murder.
I think that charge could have at least been presented to a jury.
Why wasn't it?
I don't know if a conviction would have been had on that charge because, you know, proof beyond a reasonable doubt is a
1
very
year for
high
each 100
standard.
pounds.
And based on the facts of
probably
what
what it
had
was.
happened, it might have been difficult for them to have proven that she intended for this child to die. However, there was some proof that existed, such as bruising and other injuries that indicated that there was
Of course she intended it. She literally admitted to sitting on him for 5 minutes. She counted it. How would she know it's 5 minutes if it wasn't on purpose? It's such a clear cut fucking case, but yet there's always ways around shit. It's weird. It's fucked up.
Maybe a pattern of abuse that could have led a jury down that path. They could have decided that she did have the appropriate mens rea, which is the intent to kill in
Yeah,
order to,
exactly.
sustain.
5 minutes of no oxygen is literal murder or suffocation or brain damage. There's no way around it. And yeah, he had brain damage, and that's why he died 2 days later.
A charge that high. So if it were me, I probably would have tried to
Especially being a
present that
10-year-old.
and kind of seen if I would have been able to produce enough evidence to reach that level of beyond a reasonable doubt for a murder charge.
The
here.
evidence is her.
And given all that happened, it doesn't seem surprising that she didn't want this case taken to trial. Instead, she pled guilty. But are you surprised that she didn't want to take the case to trial?
I think the evidence was pretty damning against her. I don't think that she's a sympathetic defendant at all. Sometimes you have people charged with heinous crimes, but they do have an explanation or a backstory or some type of
She only got up to get a
mitigation to try
snack.
to make
Yeah.
things better for
That's
themselves.
why she knew after 5 minutes.
She does not have that, honestly. And I think that she cut her losses and that she, did what she needed to do to minimize her
Hey.
punishment.
Free food in prison. It's true. 3 meals a day.
I don't think she would have been able to present evidence that was so strongly in her favor that a jury would have let her walk.
And I agree with you there. She wasn't a sympathetic person in this whole incident, and it doesn't seem like, I know a lot of focus on this is kind of the weight and just how much she
does seem like a smoker, huh?
how much Dakota Stevens
She does
weighed.
give off that
But
look.
in the end, whether or not she was 300 pounds, 200 pounds, 100
She's actually the bean behind him right now.
on a child to the point that they couldn't breathe, their eyes rolling in the back of their head, like that to me just is a horrible way, one, to die, but also a horrible way to treat a young child. In your opinion,
Crazy. Why even adopt? It's not like it was a kid you had that you didn't want. You had the choice to adopt this kid, to treat him like shit, to have him do chores. Yeah, exactly. It's fucking crazy. I'm a foster child, I know. I've seen parents like that. I'm a runaway teen. Fuck. I'd run away from that any day. I was running away 13-year-old. 3 years after he died was when I ran away. Let that sink in. This kid had a future.
What are your thoughts on just this whole tactic that she used to control Dakota Stevens just because he ran off to a neighbor's home for a little bit?
It feels
She took babysitting to a whole nother level, just saying.
exceedingly cruel to me. Your child.
Oh, I know what
misbehaves, you
babysitting
give them a
is.
stern
It's when you sit
talking
on
to,
babies.
You give them a
She
timeout.
fucking
You give them a
took a
homework
seat down with her
assignment, you do
fucking hairy, sweaty ass, holding like 10, 10 double cheeseburgers. It's not a laughing matter. I'm making fun of the fat murderer right now. But yeah, she's a fucking idiot. Retard, an idiot. I'll say the hard R. She's a fucking retard. You hear that, Linus? I just used a hard R. But yeah, it's crazy that she gets away with this. It's a bit obvious that she did it on purpose. It's literal murder.
Something to teach them a lesson. We have to move away from corporal punishment. First of all,
A
look at what
stench.
happened.
Ugh.
In this case, you never know
Or
what
died from
could
that.
happen if you go too far. But on the other hand, even if you don't go too far, it doesn't really teach a child a lesson. And so, I think that she absolutely should have known better. She knows that she could have caused the damage that she caused, and this poor child suffered.
Of course she knows the damage she's gonna cause on a child. Every chair she sits in fucking breaks. So what do you think she thought was gonna happen when she sat on the kid? This kid looks so nice too. Look at him. Green eyes are rare. That's a rare boy right there. What is like 2% of the world population? She just threw that away.
For no reason. I mean, trying to run away, to me, that sounds like a cry for help. To me, that sounds like he was trying to escape a terrible situation, and she was punishing him for that. Did he deserve punishment for trying to escape her? Maybe she's,
Oh, he
she's
did try to
obviously the one who
escape.
deserves punishment here. And so it's a very sad situation. Corporal punishment is,
You cracked your
should never
concrete
really
steps.
come to that
Yeah.
point. And
She's like the
so
Hulk.
it just felt very cruel to me to sit there for 5, 6,
Hulk
7 minutes
Smashburgers.
while he was slowly suffocating underneath her
Jesus.
weight.
Yeah, it's just horrible, horrible overall. And another thing that kind of stands out
This is some heavy news.
to me in this story is that Dakota Stevens wasn't even in Jennifer Wilson's home or in her care for that long, just about a month or so. And, as we've been talking, he's just a 10-year-old boy. He was bounced around from home to home.
She's not fit to be a parent.
She's not fit at all.
To be a foster parent. We have to do better. Our systems have to do better.
The law needs to change.
If I am anybody who has any interest in this little boy's life, I am suing the people who placed him into this home, because 1 month and she kills him. I mean, this is like, how little patience does she have for a child? She had to have known that this was not going, no child is perfect, right? Certainly
That's
not
true.
a child who's been traumatized and through a system bouncing from home to home. Certainly she had to have been vetted. She had to have also been, told his tendencies, the traumas that he has suffered, and she had to know what she was getting herself into.
He's just a kid.
Nobody's forcing anybody to be a parent, let alone a foster parent.
He was probably just being a kid.
You enter into this agreement, you enter into this trust, this trusting, relationship where the
It's not like
state
it's your
trusts
kid.
you to take care of this child, and the child trusts you to take care of him. And here's what you do with almost no time at all to bond with this child. You
1 month,
within
huh?
a month's time kill him. I mean,
Wow.
again, that just goes back to what we were talking
That's
about.
actually
There's no
crazy.
mitigation here whatsoever. There never will be mitigation in a case where a mother suffocates her child to death. But there's certainly
Getting
no
herself
opportunity
into the only
to
thing she
say,
can get to
well,
is a fridge.
she tried her best.
Fair
Where?
enough.
How?
I mean, that's it. That's the video. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm gonna say it. I feel like if you pick her side, you're wrong. You're already losing. You already know which side to lean on. With that being said, hope you guys liked the video, and yeah, join my streams. Watch these videos get made live. Take care, my bears. Stay safe and don't die. It's a new year, new life, new tears, new friends, same love. But I'm glad you're here, you're mine, my dear. I see you, my